All right, today we're going to be talking about doing just a basic input of a story on your website. The first thing you're going to need to do is log in. If you have a login box on your screen, it'll be over here or somewhere else. If you do not have one, you will have to add /user to the URL for your website. And this will take you to a login screen. Enter your username and your password and click login. Sorry about this, but my internet connection is slow sometimes. Once you're logged in, you will see a Create Content menu item. Select what you want to create. Generally, you're going to create a page, which is a more or less static page on your website. Usually, you're going to want me to create those for you so I can attach them to a menu. But once they're created, then you can edit them anytime you want. In this case, we're going to create a story, which would go to your news page if you have one. If you do not have any of these, some of you have a very basic site, you would just go to an edit mode later, and I'll show you how to do that. But at this point, here we have to create a story, and we give it a title, test story in this case. You would come down to the edit window, to the body, and enter whatever text you want. You can then use the editor to do neat things like bold some text, underline, and italic, things that you would normally do. You can change it to a header if you choose. So if we wanted to put in a header, we could say make this header 2. And regardless of what it looks like here, it's going to look different when it shows up on your page, because on your page it's going to have the formatting that has been set up in your design. So for instance, a header 2 might look like the create story here because that's a header 2 in this design. There are other things you can do here. You can copy and paste just like normal. If you're copying from some other program, it's usually best, however, to click on this button right here. You copy in your other program like normal, but then once you get this little window, you paste into here and say insert, and that takes off any of the funky formatting that might exist from that other program. You can add an image, which there is another video that shows you how to add that in detail. You can make something a link by clicking, first highlighting what you want to be the link. Click on the little anchor symbol here. Not the little anchor, the little chain. Type in the URL. If it's off of your site, you have to include the http://. If it's on your site, you do not have to. Also, where do you want it to open? If you want it to open in the same window, which if it's on your site you do, you just leave this alone. If you want it to open in a different window, say I wanted to send somebody to Google, I would type in the google.com, but I don't want them to leave my site. I'm going to open a new window when they click on it. And now we have our link, and when the user clicks on it, it'll open a new window to Google. Your articles, when they go to your front page, only part of them will show. It's called a teaser, because if you have a very long article, you don't want to fill up your front page with very long articles. By default, it'll take about 600 characters to show. If there's a specific place that you want it to break, you would put your cursor where you want it and click on this symbol, which puts in a little page break. Everything above that would show on the home page or your news page, whichever. After that, would only show once they clicked on the title. But anyway, you go ahead and you edit as much as you want to edit. You can ignore everything else on this, and you're seeing some stuff here that you will not see on your site. The only other things that we have to talk about are down here at the bottom is URL path settings. This is only important if you have a static first page. Otherwise, you leave this alone. If you have a static first page on your site, it will already have a name in here, usually either home or something like front page. If that's already filled out with that, and this is your static home page, you must remove the automatic alias checkbox or your site will stop working. It's not a big deal to fix, but until it's fixed, it'll break. So if you're editing your main home page and it's a static home page, make sure you take this automatic alias out. The name has to stay the same so that the site can find that front page. However, this is not my front page. This is just a story. So we're going to leave the automatic alias on, and it'll create a URL based on the title of your article. The other things you might be interested in at some point is authoring information. Generally, this is going to pick up your name as to who authored it. If for some reason you want to change that, you can. And publishing options. Published means that it's going to be published so that people can see it as soon as you click save. Promoted to the front page. This is if you have a news page either as your home page or as a separate page. But if you have a news article page, this puts it onto the news article page. If you don't want it to show up there for some reason, you would uncheck that. And on that news article page, if you want it to stay at the top, you would click sticky, and it's going to stay at the top forever. It will not get pushed down as new articles are added. But generally, this stuff can be ignored because it's set up to do what your site is set up to do. When you click save, that article now is on your website. Now that we've clicked save, our article has been posted and is now there. And again, if you have either your home page is a news page or you have a separate news page, that article is going to show on your website. This article is sticky, so it's going to stay at the top. The new one shows up right underneath it. The older one goes down a level. Now, if you've already got an article there or a page or whatever and you're logged in, once you actually go to that article or page, you're going to see an edit button at the top. If you click on edit, it'll bring back up the editor what we just saw, and you can make any changes that you'd like to make and click save. If you decide not to save your changes, just go somewhere else and don't save it. And that's the basics of editing your website. Again, just be careful. If you're on your main home page and it's a static page, which some of you do have, you have to make sure that you do not let this change here. So you have to unclick the automatic alias. Again, this is only for your main home page. All right, if you have any issues or problems, you could always email me, john@midshorelife.com. Thanks.